Oh God, it's been a day. I forgot to do the title, but I fixed it. No one will ever know. I'm Spike. Hello.
I'm Kel, and the three exclamation points you put on Kendra's name makes me think of the Discworld joke that three exclamation points is a sure sign of insanity.
Accurate. And
Sounds correct to me.
Yes, this week.
Yes, we have a special guest this week.
Hello, I'm Kendra with 3 exclamation points.
Yes, a definite sign of insanity. This is Kendra Wells, everybody. Say hello to Kendra. Kendra is an Iron Circus artist, an artist before Iron Circus. They will be an artist long after we are all dust. If you are familiar with their work, you may be a fan of Real Hero Shit, among other things. So we are pleased to have Kendra here with us.
If you're a long-time fan of Kendra, you might remember their Teen Wolf animated summaries.
Yes, yes. Kendra is
Kel, you need to, the more people remember the Tumblr days of my career, the more names I have to put on a list.
Hello, Daryl. Hello, Netfisher. Hello, Nudist.
That was beyond Tumblr. That was on the official MTV website.
That's right.
Hey now.
I was handing off a external hard drive full of animated recap episodes of the MTV Teen Wolf series for a while, and I would be at my day job, and I would walk downstairs with my little external hard drive, and then somebody from MTV would be there and be like, "Hello, I'm here for the hard drive," and I'm like, "Yes, here you go," and I'd pass it off. I don't know, like it was a time before like large file sharing or something. I don't know why we did it that way.
Weird.
Yeah. It conducted like a drug deal every time.
You got the stuff, yeah. Premium grade.
But now the new fandoms are Dragon Age.
Yes, the new the hot newness, what all the kids are into.
Yeah, I mean, you can hardly say it's new. It's been so long.
But we got a trailer on Tuesday for Dragon Age.
Okay, before all of you get lost in, the paroxysms of joy or whatever, because I'm surrounded by Dragon Age fans right now, and I do not play Dragon Age, I should note. Just for the sake of us simpletons in the audience, can you both just sort of explain Dragon Age before we get too deep in the weeds here?
So it is a fantasy RPG, and they all take place in the same setting, but who you play as changes in each game. So,
okay.
There's a lot of conflict because mages are an oppressed group. And that's kind of been the B plot in every game except for the second, where it was the A plot.
Okay.
And so the last one, there was magic. The way mages cast magic is they're pulling from this other dimension that's separated from the regular world. Mm-hmm. And that other dimension's called the Fade. And the Dragon Age 3, there's a giant tear that was letting the Fade leak into regular world. And then it turned out that one of your buddies was secretly an elven god.
As one is, usually, yes.
10-year-old game, but yeah.
Very relatable. We've all been there.
And he's the bad guy for the next game.
Oh, okay. Is this
it's very so yeah, it's like, medieval fantasy, magic.
Is it more D&D or more Tolkien?
The what?
Well, it's so Spike asks, is it more D&D or more Tolkien? I think it leans more toward D&D, but it doesn't follow D&D rules at all. Okay. So it's
so despite there being elves and whatnot, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the writing, especially in the early games, is extremely well, that just happened kind of stuff. So it's usually very charming. It's listen, Dragon Age directly inspired Real Hero shit. If that tells you anything, like
Yeah.
it's a bunch of dipshits who are bad at their lives trying to like go on adventures and
save the world.
And save the world.
But it does follow the standard RPG murder hobo kind of setup.
Well,
not always.
No, so the thing is like, so the plot of the first game is there's basically a zombie outbreak. They call it something different, but that's basically what it is.
I fucking hate it when games do that. I'm sorry, I do. It's like, it's a zombie. Just call it a zombie.
The thing is like it's apparently a thing that regularly happens in their world.
Naturally.
And
technically they're demons, not
they're like
zombies.
But they're demons, but they're from like the corpses of like the people they infected. So
okay.
So it's the reason why. So like usually, they're called like blights, and so it's a thing that like regularly happens. And the way you stop the blight is, I guess the zombies are like a hive mind. So if you kill the main zombie, the blight goes away for a little while.
You're gonna hate this, but you know what this is making me think of?
What?
Did you ever watch all the way through those Charlie the Unicorn cartoons?
No.
Yeah, it turns out in the Charlie the Unicorn, like the overarching plot for Charlie the Unicorn, for folks who like only barely recall, this was like this cartoon that was it's so old internet. Just there's a white unicorn and he's usually sleeping, and then this pink and blue unicorn show up and they're like, Charlie, come on an adventure, Charlie. Like that. Yeah, those are demons. Those are corpses infected by demons, just like Dragon Age.
So basically they have to kill...
I was like, okay, yeah, shut up.
I hate the voice of the animals. That's why I didn't get very far in it.
Yeah.
You doing your imitation of it, like, that was just nails on a chalkboard.
I'm sorry!
So,
I just did it.
That's why I'm like, we're moving past it. We're not talking about it.
Okay.
So, they have to kill... So the plot of the first game is you need to unite all the different factions in the world so they can work together to kill the main demon. So you're not really a murder hobo, except for the zombies.
Okay.
There are a lot of other stories happening sort of simultaneously.
Yeah, but that's like the A plot is the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get to choose like your style. Like you get at least in the early games, you get like 3 conversation options per like big question. So you can customize your character, and then you can also be like the super hard-headed or hot-headed like tough guy character, or you can be like the sort of like cheeky sarcastic sort of character, or you could be like the super like lawful good type, like goody character.
The boring one, sure.
Yeah, and so then, like, the characters that are questing with you, they all have, like, an opinion score based on how you react. So, like, certain characters like it if you always choose the cheeky option, and certain characters like it if you do the goody option, and then
you have to like romance one of the characters at some. I mean, you don't have to, but like, that's why I play the games.
Yeah,
romance
that's
one of the
why
characters
the vast majority of the internet plays the game.
Yeah, I strongly suspected.
But so you're often, to like gain the favor of the character that you would like to romance, you have to like sort of make decisions that they would agree with, or they might break up with you, or not have high enough affection to continue the relationship.
Yes. You're a terrible person. Oh no, I break this off. Yeah. This is reminiscent of This is reminiscent of the closest sort of experience I have. Like I've been saying, I haven't played Dragon Age, but the closest experience to this I have is for a while there, I was playing a lot of Fallout 4, and at some point I figured out that, when you romance all the partner characters, you get a reward. And some of these rewards are pretty good. And so I was just being really depraved. and I was going through the world and finding new girlfriends and boyfriends and methodically, carefully romancing them to max and then dumping them all at like the Red Rocket gas station near my first settlement.
You can't do that in Dragon Age.
Yeah, but I loved like my home. I called it Spike's Home for Discarded Lovers.
Yeah, so like in Dragon Age, it's like because there's usually after a certain point in the game, you're locked out of romancing other people.
Oh, okay.
So and then they get mad at you if you're trying to romance more than one person at a time. So you have to pick one and stick with it through most of the game.
Okay. Real quick, this is the game with the guy with the mustache, right?
That's the third one.
That's the third one. Okay.
The third one, yes.
Okay.
So the first one, like I said, you're trying to like negotiate so everyone can defeat the head zombie / it's called the archdemon in the world, but they basically act like zombies. And then the second game, you are a character whose family had to flee their home because of the blight in the first game. So you start as like a refugee in this new city. And while mages are oppressed all over the world, this new city is super hard on mages and wants to go even harder. And so you have to pick a side, basically. Are you going to side with the mages or the Templars that want to lock them up?
Is there any justification whatsoever, or is it just like mages?
So, basically,
are they like time bombs or?
Mages
That's kind of what's implied in a lot of it. It's like they can't. Magic is kind of manifested, like naturally. Like it just shows up one day when most people are very young. And depending on where you live, and the general opinion of mages, you can be like taken away from your family because you know, if you can't control your magic and you like blow up a house or something, then that causes problems. Or if you start summoning, you can start summoning demons.
The main reason is the thing that lets mages connect to that other dimension that has magic in it. That's also where spirits and demons live. So demons can only get into our world because of a mage being stupid.
Fair enough.
And so mages frequently get possessed by demons and then kill a whole bunch of people.
Hi, Alan Lord. Hi, Ellesmere. Thank you for coming. This is, once again, reminding me of something else. This is like the only way I can interface with the both of you this time because I haven't played Dragon Age. But there was a Warhammer fan animation. Not even Warhammer, excuse me. Warhammer 40K fan animation that was really popular a while ago. And I promise not to just immediately swan dive into Warhammer 40K lore because holy shit, I could talk about that forever. But that's kind of the issue with psychics in Warhammer 40K too. Psychics in Warhammer 40K, which is like Space Misery, I guess, the game. Space Misery, the game. Is that they have a connection to this thing called the warp. And the warp is incredibly valuable and incredibly dangerous. I imagine it's the same in Dragon Age. Magic is very valuable, but also insanely dangerous. Because the warp enables the humans' particular method of faster-than-light travel, which is kind of necessary for running an interstellar empire. But also, it's where literal demon gods live that will drive you insane if they, like, look at you. And the animation I'm thinking of had this whole bit where these priests who train for like their entire lives, when humans are found to be psychically sensitive, they are sent to like Hogwarts from hell, where they are like trained to withstand the rigors of the warp when they try to do their psychic whatnots. And in this animation, they had a priest who was trying to communicate via the warp, and he fucked up somehow. And he just did this kind of like slow turn to the soldiers that were standing near him and began to scream, and like perfect light began to blare from his eyes and his mouth. And the soldiers immediately shot him to death. They just like fucking riddled him with bullets because once a demon gets their hands on you in the warp, you just kind of can't be allowed to live because you are now a conduit.
So, if you ever hear people talking about Dragon Age 2 and having a terrorist boyfriend, that is because one of the romanceable characters in Dragon Age 2 is a mage who is planning to blow up the church.
He's gonna blow up the Pope.
Sounds good.
Yeah, he's gonna blow up the Pope.
Sounds good.
So,
Whomst among us? Whomst among us?
He's really. I really like that character. I'm a huge Anders apologist.
I like the terrorists.
Yeah,
I think he does good work.
Yeah. Hater's gonna have some good points.
So Dragon Age 3, like I said, there's a big giant magic hole. So you have to.
That's what they called me in college. But anyway,
yeah, magic hole.
Yeah, big giant magic hole. Sure.
So you gotta gather enough people to figure out a way to heal up the magic hole. And so the companion that it turns out is secretly an elven god and is the villain of the game that's about to come out. So I told you there's elves.
Right.
But elves are an oppressed minority.
They're always fucking elves, but go on.
Well, I feel like they're either that or they're Tolkien elves where they're immortal and perfect and better than everyone else.
Yeah.
They're just like wafting around and being like, oh, we are the most beautiful.
The one thing I thought was interesting about Dragon Age's world is, so there is like ancient elven ruins and whatnot that would make you think the elves are like Tolkien elves. But because elves have been like oppressed for so long, they actually don't know what any of that ancient elven ruins means. So the elves that live in the woods are trying to like recreate their culture from 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. And Kendra, I'm with you. I find Tolkien elves profoundly irritating.
I just think they should be allowed to cuss.
Let the elves cuss. Just bang the table with your fist. Let them cuss. Now, alright, this is me completely talking out of my ass here because I have not been able to withstand reading Tolkien. I have failed miserably. But the sense I get from Tolkien elves is not that they run around acting all superior. It's just that, like, it's kind of like talking to somebody who is waiting for the bus and isn't really interested in you. And it's like you're just having a conversation. They're like, and just sort of like looking over your shoulder the entire time. Like they don't care. That's the vibe I get. Like they're not bad people. They're not supercilious. They're not, smug. They just kind of like, they're not into it.
I'm gonna say something that would make Tolkien roll over in his grave. They're allegories for angels.
Okay.
So they're perfect and immortal and can do no wrong, but they're not interested in your worldly desires except for the ones that fell and became evil.
Okay. Because it's like, but the thing is, like, that sort of attitude where it's like this is like, the pigeons that are out on the sidewalk being all like, Spike doesn't pay any attention to me. And it's like, well, no offense, but what have you got going on that, not is worthy of my attention, but like, what do you want from me? You're a pigeon. That's kind of the vibe I get from what little Tolkien I've managed to absorb in book form. Again, they're not shitty people. They just kind of, they can't really relate. But that gets translated in like sort of the Flanderization, is that what they call it, of pop culture, the cauldron of pop culture that gets translated to kind of like shitty, obnoxious, I'm so much better than you elves. And that sucks.
Yeah. Elves in Dragon Age. So you find it was revealed in the last game that the reason why the elves aren't immortal is they used to be because they were connected to that. There wasn't that barrier that separated Magic World from regular world.
Okay.
And pulling on whatever Magic World made elves immortal, and the elven god guy was a trickster god, and he is the one who like made the barrier
Okay.
And that made elves not immortal, and because they weren't immortal, that is why they ended up like getting oppressed, because they suddenly didn't have all this power that you were used to. So he's the villain in the next game because he's trying to undo a mistake he did like 1,000 years ago.
Okay.
And as you might imagine, that's basically going to destroy the whole reality that you're in.
Okay.
It's okay for him because he'll survive it.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He'll also, not have the guilt of destroying elven culture for thousands of years.
Oh, so it was him. Got you. Okay.
Yeah, so he did it, and that's why he wants to like time travel and fix it.
Fair enough.
So I think that is a really good, compelling motivation for a villain. It's also understandable why we got to stop him.
Yeah, sure. I don't want to be destroyed. Not today, anyway. There are times, Jesus. But no, I don't want to be destroyed most times.
So yeah, so the 15-minute video of gameplay for the next game dropped.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
And what are your thoughts on that as a professional Dragon Age enjoyer?
Kendra, where is Varric's chest hair?
Yeah. First of all,
I
have to assume Varric is in deep cover because
he doesn't look like Varric.
Well, he looks like he's had a very rough couple of years, which is shocking because he ended the spoilers for a 10-year-old game. He became like a magister or like a mayor of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we saw him last, he was very high on the horse. He's doing great. And now he's like his cheeks are very gaunt. He has this like big beard. He doesn't have any of his chest hair. And
where did it go? His piercings are missing too.
He used to be a blonde, like a gingery blonde, and now his hair is very dark.
Okay.
So my theory is that something went wrong, and he did a bad job at being the mayor, and now he's on the run in Minrathous, which is the new setting.
Okay. It must be nice to feel something for a game.
Here's the thing. I have been hurt so many times by this company that I am kicking myself for like feeling anything, like feeling any excitement at all, because it has been yanked away from us so often.
Yeah. I just,
this game like has been in development for so long, and then there was a point where they were like, it's gonna be, you have to be online all the time, and it's multiplayer.
No.
Yeah, it was they were threatening
walked that part back.
They were threatening a Fortnite clone.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's been a very, the last couple of years have been a trial of and a roller coaster of emotions. But then they start saying the gameplay trailer looked really good, I thought. I liked the dialogue. I liked the cutscenes. The companions looked way better than the character trailer I saw beforehand.
So here's the thing. When I was looking at the character designs, do they strike you as cartoonier than they were before? Okay. So I'm not imagining things. I think they look good. I was just like, this feels cartoonier.
Well, in the gameplay, it didn't read that way at all. It was just like very smooth, high def, like Inquisition-esque, I found. But the character trailer itself looked very like pop art, or not pop art. You know what I mean? Like a lot more like mainstream merchandise type of thing.
Yeah, I used to get excited for games, but because I'm stupid, my favorite developer I used to get excited for was Bethesda. And then, what happened.
You don't have to say anything else. We know Bethesda's garbage.
Like, I've mentioned this a few times on the show before, but for Kendra's benefit, I will repeat myself. I still to this day remember the release date of Skyrim. The release date of Skyrim was 11/11/11, and I remember doing a con that year with Daniel Corsetto and Randy Milholland, who are fellow webcomic artists, and we went by a billboard. It was in Arizona. We went by a billboard on our way to the hall, and it just had, Skyrim guy and it had 11, 11, 11 next to him on the billboard, and he was all, just lit under the chin and looking all broody with his horned helmet on and whatever. Mm-hmm. And Danielle very innocently but foolishly looked at that and was all like, huh, I wonder what that's about. And I could feel it crawling out of my face, like getting ready to just really humiliate myself. And I just sort of embraced it and let it happen. And I was like, oh, that's Skyrim! You see, Skyrim is part of the Elder Scrolls series! And I just fucking went full throttle and I talked about fucking Fuss Rodal, all that shit. I completely lost it on Danielle. And Danielle was very nice about it. Danielle was very like, oh, okay. And that way it's like, all right, you could have done this in one sentence, but you're still going. Okay.
I remember our lift getting canceled because you were shouting about Skyrim.
I loved Skyrim!
It was basically Kendra. It was at Emerald City, and we had ordered a lift, and right as the lift was pulling up, Spike was shouting something about Skyrim, and the guy saw that and then ride canceled. And we had to get a new driver.
Yeah, he thought I was drunk.
Oh, no.
I don't even drink. I'm just a loser. It's totally different. I'm harmless, I promise.
I immediately assumed that the driver was Todd Howard himself.
And he's like, no.
I think it's funny how much Bethesda is mad that people love Fallout New Vegas the best.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was actually one of the people who was kind of excited for Starfield. And I was excited for Starfield not necessarily because I was like, oh shit, that's exactly the game I want to play. Fuck. Not for those reasons. I was excited for Starfield because I like Todd. And I like Todd because Todd... You can find the posts on forums from years ago where he talked about, 20 years ago, I'm serious, where he talked about this game he wanted to make. And it was going to be this cool space exploration game. And one day he was going to get around to making it. And again, these posts are fucking 20 years old. And he did it. He made his space game. Good for Todd. And I wanted his...
Turns out his space game is really boring.
And I wanted his dream to work, But then people were all like, this is ass, actually. And I was like, oh, I don't like hearing that, but if it's ass, it's ass, I feel bad, but if it's ass, it's ass. People like Todd. Yes, Abby Lark, people like Todd. But, sometimes...
He said nice things about Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, but Todd is kind of I'm not saying he is the equal, but Todd is kind of Steve Jobs or Gabe Newell in the sense that he is the face of a company. And because of that, some parasocial shit absolutely goes down. I think for a while there I had sort of a pretty innocent parasocial thing with Todd where, I like him because he seems kind of dorky. And he seems like the real deal. And most of AAA gaming right now is full of people who are very, very much not the real deal. Todd has been making these fucking nerdy games way before they were billion-dollar franchises. Todd was making games back when I don't know if anyone here has seen the original Elder Scrolls shit, but wow. He's come along.
Morrowind mostly because I was looking for Terry Pratchett's mod for Morrowind.
Oh god, Morrowind looks like a fucking masterpiece compared to the earlier stuff. So he's been sort of banging away at this for decades, and I wanted his perfect game to be good, but everybody's all like, it's not, and that kind of sucks, and I'm sad to hear that. I'm sad to hear a dude.
Centrist liberal capitalism brain going on in it.
I'm sad to hear that this fucking gaming old head, this OG, this dude who has been here forever, he made his dream game and it fucking didn't hit. I'm sad to hear that.
Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
Which companions are you the most excited about?
Damn, Kel just don't care.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
I can tell.
Well, I haven't played Starfield, so I can't really speak to it, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I don't know their names super well yet because
I don't know their names either. If you just say that, I think I remember the things they got in the character trailer: the warden, the detective, the necromancer.
Yeah,
like
I mean, they all look really good. Is the problem?
Excuse me.
So there's like a Grey Warden in one of the romanceable characters, and he is a beautiful elf. And the Grey Wardens, their whole thing is that when a blight happens, they have to like sacrifice. They basically they hear the calling in their head like magically, and they have to go like sacrifice themselves to destroy the blight. Like
yeah, they're the ones that usually kill the head zombie, and that kills them in the process.
Yeah. So it's hardcore like religious knight on his potentially about to die at any moment, who looks really cool, and then there's a really beautiful Kunari woman who I will do anything for.
Yeah, I like her crystal horn.
Yeah.
The Kunari Spike are, if you see Dragon Age characters with big fucking bull horns, that's the Kunari are.
I'm gonna be real, like, part of the reason I never got into Dragon Age is it seems like a really central part of it is the whole sort of, make friends with your companions and maybe get yourself a little partner and then have feelings about it. And that part of games, like I told you how I approached the boyfriend/girlfriend mechanic in Fallout, where I just fucking ran through them. I was for the streets, and I just, romanced everyone till I got their perk, and then immediately threw them off a cliff. That's not my favorite part of like any game. So it's like when I see how into it people who are into Dragon Age are, I'm like, oh, this game's probably not for me.
Yeah, you can do some like cool, like you can make some very like fucked up decisions, or like choose to sacrifice certain, like the companions don't necessarily make it to the end of the game depending on your choices, like similar to Baldur's Gate. So you can cause chaos and destruction if you so choose, but yeah,
But you cannot date everybody.
Yeah,
that's quitter talk.
Which is why people were excited about the Bear Man in Baldur's Gate is because he is pro polyamory.
For a change.
For a change. Like usually in these dating games, it's one person at a time per game.
I gotta say, as someone who is currently writing a dating sim, I suddenly we also wanted to do like overlapping like poly relationships in our game initially, and then we realized exactly how much that was going to add to our scripting.
Oh, that would be a misery. Yeah,
it would be like tripling our work.
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of people seriously underestimate like a lot of big games. I'm not necessarily AAA, but just games that are really complex that have a lot of player choice. It's a nightmare. It's a fucking nightmare. And it's a
lot of work, as it turns out.
Yeah, the people who do story design and shit, I have so much respect for them. And every once in a while, someone will find some like little goofums in these long games, like in Skyrim or Fallout or whatever, where somebody says something they should, and everyone's all like, ah ha ha. And I'm always like, well, fuck! Like, it's a miracle you don't find more of those. These people are incredibly thorough, because it's that shit where it's like everything is a branching path, and then the branching paths branch, and the game needs to remember choices you made 18 hours ago on a completely different part of the map sometimes, and that has to be incorporated to someone's reaction to you and cross-referenced with other things you have also done. Like, that sounds like hell. That sounds incredibly complicated. So when you find one little goofums, it's okay. They get a goofums sometimes. It's hard.
But that's a thing that I really appreciate, because I've been playing Baldur's Gate. Is they are prepared for you to do some wild ass fucking stuff. Like someone did a test of so basically Spike, in the first act of Baldur's Gate, you have to side with some tiefling refugees or with some goblins that are trying to kill them. And if you help the tieflings kill all the goblins, you get a party with the tieflings. if you help the goblins kill all the tieflings, you get a party with the goblins.
Okay.
All the tiefling refugees are at the party and you can talk to them. So someone was like, what if you side with the tieflings but kill all the tieflings?
Huh.
Who shows up to the party?
Let's explore
and there
that.
is an answer to that. Like they did make like replacement tieflings that, and then I'm playing as a Dark Urge character, and basically that means that I have a voice in my head telling me to kill all the time. And there is a cutscene where you wake up and you've disemboweled a girl. And it is a character that you talked to before you get this cutscene. So you could have had a very nice, sweet interaction with her. She's trying to finish a song, and you can help her finish it. And then she shows up at your camp and is like, hey, you seem great. I want to join your party and like help you on your adventure. And then you wake up in the middle of the night with her guts all over the floor.
As one does.
That's so great.
So, what happens if she is either knocked out or killed before you get that cutscene as Dark Urge? Is a different bard shows up.
Oh, okay.
And since you don't have like an emotional connection to her for doing the little side quest about finishing her song, there's completely different dialogue for this bard, who only exists in the game in case you killed the other bard already.
So someone dies that night.
Yeah. Because it's a plot point in the Dark Urge storyline. That they need to kill someone like at this moment in the game.
Okay.
Her dialogue is hilarious because it is so over the top. I love living. My future is so bright. I've never fallen in love, and I want it to happen.
I'm 5 days from retirement. Me and the wife have already bought the cabana in Boca Raton.
Yeah, no, she shows up and she's like, I'm headed to Baldur's Gate because I just got word they're going to publish my songs. I'm going to be famous and go down in history as a great bard.
Gosh, I hope nobody murders me in a darkly serious way.
Yeah, it was like while talking to her while streaming, I just started to laugh because it's so like...
obvious.
Yeah. I am. But kudos to Larian for putting that in. Like, someone might have accidentally killed the first bard.
So it's important that you need the second bard, yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of playthroughs, and one of them was someone who's trying really hard to kill everybody. I'm talking specifically about, like, Baldur's Gate. There is a mechanic, apparently, in Baldur's Gate where, like, you've just fucking... everybody's gone. You can basically just... I don't even know how to put it. Like, conjure up, like, 2 or 3 people who are clearly just random shades who are meaningless. Because the game's like, okay, you can't beat this game alone, and you've killed everyone because you're a shithead. Here, have a gnome.
Yeah.
Have this person there. They have no personality. They're basically ghosts that you can actually, you can.
Yeah. You can pick.
So they have also thought what to do if you just fucking murder everybody.
Yeah.
Or walk by everybody. If you just like, because there are times where it's like, oh, won't you help me? And you'd be like, nah, and just keep going. So. But yeah. I when I play my my little role play games, I always default really hard to games where I can build things like cities, settlements, that kind of thing. So I'm one of those people. I really liked Fallout 4. I know like the hip new thing is to shit all over Fallout 4, but I liked Fallout 4 a lot because I got to build bases and stuff. I never did beat the game because I was so busy building little settlements.
I always like games where I can build stuff, and resource management games, and games where I can explore a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Kendra?
I mean, I feel like I don't play enough games consistently to like have a type, because I love Dragon Age Inquisition, so I love like smoochy adventure games, but only if they're like medieval fantasy, because like Mass Effect kind of does nothing for me. I've like tried to play it a couple times and it just doesn't click for me.
I tell people flat out, I much prefer bows and arrows to guns. I did really like Skyrim enough to like fuck with it a little bit, like to see the edges of the coding and whatnot. Fun fact, if you don't summon that first dragon, no dragons can spawn, and you can do most of the game with no dragons spawning.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I've played a shit ton of Skyrim, but I never got into Fallout because I just don't care about guns.
I was kind of the same way. I really want to like Fallout 4, and I like, but it's the kind of thing where I'm like, I play with the character creator, and then I get to when you kill the death, you like go through the like introductory area and you like find the death claw and you like shoot him up.
I
get to that point and then I immediately like just wander off and never play it again. I don't know why. I just like, I can't, it hasn't grabbed me the way that Inquisition does.
Fallout New Vegas is the one everyone talks about, like, oh, that's the one there. And I kind of like it, but I prefer, see, chat's going to have to help me out with this one because it's all starting to bleed together because I'm senile. But there is a Fallout game, I believe it is 3, where the opening conundrum, the opening act you can do is literally massacre an entire settlement for, like, literally no reason. They were incredibly nice to you. You have no reason to do any of this. But you can just do it, and it takes the form of, it's called, what is it? I think it's called Bombtown or Newton or something like that, where basically it's a town that is just built around an undetonated nuclear warhead. And
oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and
I think it was
if you go into, like, the bar or something, there's just some shithead sitting there, and he's all like, hey, I got a job for you if you're the right kind of person. Come meet me at, I believe it's Tenpenny Tower, which is a hotel that for some reason is still standing.
That means that it is Fallout 3, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Megaton, thank you. And it's all like, you go to Tenpenny Tower and they're like, hey, you know that place where those people gave you like respite and clothing and food and explained to you the situation since you just crawled out of a vault like a fucking cockroach? You know that town? The town that has never done you wrong in your entire life? You want to fucking press this button and you want to like blow them up? You want to do that? It'd be great if you did that. And you can do that, and when you go back, it is blown up. You have like killed everyone except one person who you've horribly mutilated and transformed into. See, I can say this now because there's a TV show, and God says when there's a TV show, I get to assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about, except for one woman who you transformed into a ghoul, but everyone else is dead, and it's just you just killed everyone for no reason, and
that's the kind of freedom that you can get in a beautiful game.
I deserve that. I deserve to senselessly murder. And I love that about that game.
Well, there are certain characters you can't murder in Fallout 3 and 4 because then you have severed the threads of fate or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually a thing from Morrowind. And here's my thing.
That's how they phrase it, but in Fallout there are people that are invincible.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. See, if I was ever going to stand out in front of Bethesda fucking offices with a picket sign, if I was ever going to chain myself to the doors of Bethesda in protest, it would be over the fact there are people you can't kill. And I love
you know what Fallout game you can kill everyone in?
No, which one's that?
Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, okay. because like
they have accounted for if you killed every single character.
There's in Morrowind, like taking it way back now, in Morrowind, for sure, like you could kill anyone in Morrowind. And when you did that, the pop-up was so beast mode. The pop-up was so great because it was all like, with the death of this character, the thread of fate has been severed. Mm-hmm. Persist in the doom world you have created or reload. Persist in the doomed world you have created. Shit, yeah.
I love that.
Whereas Fallout New Vegas, they just let you kill everyone. There's no pop-up that tells you
don't kill people.
Like the game, you can finish the game no matter what if you've killed him.
That rocks.
Like, so that is part of why people like Fallout New Vegas better than the other two. Mm-hmm.
New Vegas is really creative too. I like New Vegas a lot. Although I have to say, if I have like one criticism about New Vegas, it's like, okay, see, this is like a complex criticism because I believe in my heart that if society did kind of come apart at the seams, this faction would definitely come up, because I know, like, we've talked to the people online. We know of the people online who would try and make it real. But Caesar's Legion in Fallout New Vegas, it's like they feel kind of almost cartoonishly evil, especially considering the point in time which this game was made and released. Like, people had a higher opinion of humanity back then. But it feels like, oh, so you're the game bad guys. And I always appreciated the fact that, like, a lot of Bethesda games, it wasn't necessarily that cut and dry. Like, it's the whole thing in Skyrim is kind of a mess when you hear everybody out, you know, when everybody like talks about why, you know, they're fighting this war.
Spike, but that is why centrists love Bethesda games.
It's just, but like Caesar, or for folks who never played, Caesar's Legion is this post-apocalyptic fucking ancient Rome filleting organization where they have decided like women are property and slavery rules and let's crucify a bunch of people. Like, that's Caesar's Legion. It's what, like, the shittiest dude, the guys on Twitter who have ancient statues as profile pictures, if they founded a civilization, it would be Caesar's Legion. And, you know, it's obviously there for people who want to be real evil. And when you meet them, you're just like, oh, wow. It's like, I don't even need to think about this. I'm not going to, not only am I not going to join you, I'm going to destroy you. And they're kind of like the only faction I feel that way about. Like, there are factions like the NCR, the New California Republic, that's a running thing in Fallout games for folks who aren't familiar, that there is a, like, California has kind of like pulled itself together post-apocalypse, and they have become their own country, and they are the New California Republic. And they're kind of like, like, they're not great, but they're also not terrible.
They're a criticism of the U.S. at the time.
Yeah, they're a criticism of the U.S. They're kind of just like, they're the bureaucrats who are kind of trying really hard to convince you better things aren't possible, and they kind of suck, but things would suck worse without them. Like, that's the New California Republic.
So they're my mom?
Well, it's also, like, you're leaving out that if you talk to people around New Vegas, the NCR is also hoarding all the resources, so you have to join them. So they're using a lot of soft power, because there's a side quest where a farmer that works for the NCR can't grow his crops, so he's not going to meet his crop quotas because he's not getting enough water. And then you find out that the people stealing the water are just an independent farm, but they're really, all they did is they found the thing the NCR was using to reroute the water. So, like, the NCR kind of stole their water first.
Yeah. Yeah. NCR is very America. The NCR is very
Yeah.
America, where it's like
So,
they aren't
yeah.
purposely going out like rubbing hands together while lightning flashes in the background and they caress a white Persian cat, moo-ha-ha-haing. But like they do shitty things to people who are part of the out group. And they just
Yeah,
kind of
so
like, well, if you don't want us to treat you bad, you should join the new California Republic. And it's all like, well, that's a shitty choice.
So yeah, so then the thing, like, the reason why I said like liberal capitalism ruined Starfield,
You did mention that.
because I watched Jesse Gender's review of the game.
Okay.
And a lot of the quote unquote choices in the game, like, yes, there's your evil and your good choice, but the quote unquote good choice is always to like side with the nice capitalist. Like, you never Jesse points out that there's one mission where some colonists are arriving at a planet, but they've been in like hypersleep and it's like took them too long to get to the planet.
Yeah.
So, and a corporation got to the planet first, developed it, and are saying like, yeah, I know you guys were planning and told everyone that you were going to colonize this planet, but we've already been here for several decades, so you can go fuck off.
Wow.
And the executives of this corporation that owns the whole planet are like, these colonists are really annoying, so can you like blow up their spaceship and kill them all so we don't have to deal with them? So that's one option.
Yeah.
And the other option is to convince the corporation to allow the colonists to land under the agreement that the colonists will basically be in indentured servitude to the corporation for the rest of their lives. And that is the quote-unquote good solution. There's no solution to kill all the corporate like executives.
There's actually, yeah, that's
what the fuck.
This is a bit of a sidebar, but I have to get to it, or else we'll just like fucking keep going straight ahead.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm not happy to hear about that. I'm not happy to hear about that. All right, here's the thing. I don't think I'm like this font of a pure virgin creativity or anything, and I'm sure other people have thought of this before me. But this is like 10 years ago, so I'm not super salty, because if I was really into it, I would have done it. But for a long time, I nursed this idea about a comic called Generation 1, which was basically that. It was a colony ship, but it wasn't a colony ship full of people. It was a colony ship. All right, setting the stage. Earth, shitty place, terrible things, climate change, war, disaster, starvation, misery. Earth thinks it's dying. So what Earth does is it gets together its greatest minds, and Earth puts together a embryonic colony ship. So it's all full of frozen, like, they get over the whole how long it's going to take to get to another planet by just having frozen embryos. So there's no one like actually alive on the ship except an AI called Mother. Very original, I know. But the AI steers the slower than light, almost like a fraction of the speed of light, but pretty fast. They aim it like a slingshot at an exoplanet, and they fire. And like on board this ship are 10,000 frozen fetuses and humanity's last hope. And this is going to be it, because Earth is fucking doomed. That's the idea. And this thing is in space. It's traveling in space. It has enough sort of nanite auto repair shit that it can bear all the small indignities of space, like, you know, micro collisions and whatnot. And this whole time, these frozen embryos are just kind of like chilling out, doing their thing. And then the ship's machine starts waking them up. Mother starts waking them up and growing them. And by the time they get to the exoplanet, they need to be 12. That's the general idea. They need to be 12. And so she raises the first batch of 100 of these 10,000 frozen embryos. And she educates them with her massive archive of what Earth was like, because Earth is long gone, and tells them they've been in space for like how many ever thousands of years, and they're coming up on this exoplanet. And she tells them all they know about the exoplanet. And all mother tells them all she knows of humanity and talks about how you are the last of humanity. This is it. You carry the light and the hope of the human species with you. And when you land, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set up the bivouacs. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we're going to save humanity. Are you in? And of course, these 100 kids are like, abso-fucking-lutely, we're in. And then when they land, basically when the door opens, it's like the people who were parked out in front of Amy Winehouse's house right before she died. Imagine this fucking wall of paparazzi, both human and pretty post-human. And they're all like, there they are! And everyone, like, people are sticking microphones in their faces. Like, hey, what's it like to be on, the colony ship? We've been tracking you for the past 50 years, and you finally made it here. Holy shit, you're slow. Crazy. But hey, what's up? We thought we lost you a couple times there. But what's it like? And they look around, the planet basically looks like Dubai. Like, there's shit everywhere. And the kids are like, what happened? And everyone's like, oh, right. Yeah, we figured out wormholes like 200 years after you left. And turns out everyone in your generation was just a real Debbie Downer. They really thought we weren't going to figure it out, but we did figure it out. Earth is kind of hurting, but it's fine now. We figured it out. It's okay. And now we live all over the galaxy now that we figured out wormholes. Your fraction of speed of light travel is total bullshit. No one does that anymore. It takes forever. Did you know that? Anyway, your entire purpose is meaningless now. Would you like to do an interview for my podcast? And that is what Generation 1 was going to be about. Like these 100 kids who have been raised for this one singular purpose and now they don't get to fulfill it and what they do with the rest of their lives. And it makes my heart hurt that there's something like that in Starfield, but it's okay because you know what? I can't do everything. Yeah.
Well, it's also, Spike, this is like a one side quest and also they're all adults who are awake.
Yeah.
Do you want to sell them to be indentured servants? Or do you want to blow them up? So you can't kill all the executives. You can kill every single janitor and service worker on the planet.
But you can't kill any executives.
Right.
Just like in real life.
Yeah.
Kristen Cheney's going, you can still do it. Yeah, I suppose I could. But everyone would be all like, I know where you got that from.
No, they won't because it's different enough because it's kids.
Okay.
Like, kids going through that is way different than, like... Basically, in Starfield, that plot is a property dispute. Like, you came home and there's squatters in your house.
Oh god, that's a horrible way of putting it.
There's squatters that have started a tech startup in your house.
Oh and now god, what a nightmare.
Squatters are richer than you. So
nightmarish.
That's just the squatter is Elon Musk.
Oh god, what a horrible thought. Hey, did you hear? He's gonna get his fucking $56 billion. He's going to get a pay package that is 5 times more than the company he is supposedly CEO of has ever earned. It's insane. It makes no sense.
Kendra.
Yes.
You said Real Hero Shit was inspired by Dragon Age.
Yeah, let's stay on topip.
Let's talk about Real Hero Shit.
Yes, please.
Oh, I would love to.
I love Annie. I love my favorite comment I've given on any of your scripts is when I was like, they're all corrupt, burn it all down, Annie. Annie has my heart.
She is really something else. It's really fun to make your own comics and just like shoehorn in all of the character tropes that you personally just really like and just being like, yeah, this is just what I love, a mean, brassy girl with huge cans, just like yelling at people. I'm living. Listen, Ryoko from Tenchi Muyo really did a number on my like prepubescent brain.
No, I get it. Something happened to me, and I'm still not sure what it was, but now I just love trash, so I can relate. I just like garbage dudes. Like whenever I'm writing something, I just want to put garbage in it all day.
I love trashy pretty boys, so I also am partial to Eugene.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you listen. You and I both know that Eugene is your favorite character.
That's why
we've-
Annie fucking him is great.
Gross.
Thank
Eugene's the
God.
worst. I'm sorry. I mean, Eugene. Who is that? Why won't you tell us a little about Eugene, Kendra? Who is that in Real Hero Shit, published by Iron Circus Comics?
So in Iron Circus is a medieval fantasy. Wait, Iron Circus.
It's my
Iron
medieval
Circus
fantasy.
is a medieval fantasy.
It is.
It's been a long week. So Real Hero Shit is a medieval fantasy story about the strange prince of a very prosperous nation who was born with lavender skin and horns coming out of his forehead, and nobody knows why, and his mom isn't talking.
Don't let that fool you. He sucks, but go on.
He grows up without a care in the world. It's like not at all one of those things where it's like, oh no, he's different, we have to like get rid of him. It's the total opposite. His mom forbade anyone from ever treating him differently because she was the queen and she can do stuff like that. So unfortunately, he grew up to be insanely spoiled and really bitchy and gets whatever he wants all the time and is he's like the bisexual disaster. But he's the prince of the country, so he's like immune to all attacks basically. He's great. He sucks. I love drawing him in very tight pants.
He's great. He sucks.
There's a lot of shots of his butt in like intentionally. Anytime I have an option to draw his butt, I will draw his butt.
Classy.
I love him and Annie fucking. That's just beautiful. Just kiss.
Listen, so does he.
You too can love this by getting Real Hero Shit from Iron Circus Comics.
And maybe part of what I've been working on is something to do with Real Hero Shit. Who knows? Maybe you should catch up on the first book.
While you have
not
time.
For any real reason, not like there's going to be a second one.
Yeah. I mean, who can say? Who can say what the future? What could the future possibly hold?
I don't know how coy I'm supposed to be about it, but there is a second book coming out.
You can just say that there's going to be a second book.
Yeah. There's a second book coming out. Yeah. It has a title that hasn't been revealed yet, but there is a second book coming out.
Woohoo!
It's a continuation of the first volume. It takes place about 6 months after the end of the first one. So you get to see where the four characters, so there's Eugene and Ani, obviously, and then there's also Michelle and Hocus, who are also my ultra babes, and I love very much. And they go on more adventures, and things start getting darker and weirder and more dangerous and a little more intense and falling apart a lot more than the first book. So I think it's great. And also Eugene's butt is in it like really early in the
So it's going to be like a webcomic where it starts out with, we're just a bunch of silly guys. And then 500 pages later, they're fighting Satan. Yeah. They're fucking blasting God.
That's also how D&D games go. So
yeah, exactly.
Listen, you have to start raising the stakes after the first. You have your first boss that you have. You have like a couple like little adventures, and then you face your first like sort of mini boss. And then depending on how that goes, you're gonna have to start raising the difficulty. And things are gonna start
I actually to fight that urge, I have like a rule to myself for the city between. That it's never the end of the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because so many fantasy and urban fantasy stories fall victim to power creep because they have to fight the boss, and then they have to fight an even more powerful person, and then they have to fight an even more powerful person. And so like an interview with a vampire series, like the third book, Lestat has talked to a vampire god. So it's like,
where do you go from there?
Yeah, really power creep peaked early. Buffy fights a god in season 5.
Yeah.
And again, where do you go from there? oddly enough, I feel like Teen Wolf successfully avoided power creep because every season is just a different shapeshifter, so they just have to learn the specific rules to that shapeshifter rather than getting harder people to fight. They're just people with different rules.
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend with my friend Sammy, who I'm writing on the game with, and they we were talking about how, like, because we were actually having this same conversation today, which is very funny, about how we prefer medieval fantasy to like futuristic fantasy. And I was like, well, I think part of the reason why a lot of the futuristic fantasy doesn't really do it for me is it goes so often to that, like, we blew up a planet. There's like 100 billion people on it. Aren't you sad? And I'm like, I mean, not anymore, because now you're classifying it as a planet and not a billion people. You know, like, it means nothing. Like Thanos snapping half of the people out of existence is like the first interesting thing that happened with the enemies in a long time in those Marvel movies. But like then they redacted it immediately and like whatever. But yeah, I like when things are on that huge of a scale, you just lose all sense of like actual stakes in my book.
Yeah. One of my favorite Elder Scrolls end games was when one of the Daedric princes, I'm sure someone in chat might remember which one of the Daedric princes actually manifests in the world, and he's like this like, I don't even know, like 8, 9, 10 story tall thing, literally stomping through town and like kicking people and hitting them with a club and shit. And it's like this actual, mortal threat to people in the town you're familiar with. And it's like, oh shit, when you see it in a way that I haven't ever really sensed when, a planet blows up in a movie.
Right. I mean, and I think, Baldur's Gate is a good example of this too, because those like you have so many of those little side characters that you continue to see throughout the length of the game. So you will like get invested in these characters. It's like, oh, there's this like cute couple
the girl
that I
who
like.
helped write a song. And because we're not playing as Dark Urge, we didn't disembowel her.
Right.
Oh, you know what this actually makes me think of? I'm actually gonna chill out with like, sorry everyone, I'm sorry I'm noodling, I'm sorry I'm like laboriously drawing rocks, I'm sorry. But I'm trying a new thing, and this page doesn't have a deadline, and I know it's been 3 weeks, but I've been very busy. Shit, where am I gonna find this? Fallout 3 Little Boy Cave? Little Lamplight. All right, that was good enough. Google still works. Google still works after a fashion. Okay, yeah. When you were both talking about people showing up after seeing them after seeing them a first time, you see them again. Yeah, for folks who have played multiple Fallout games, if you have played Fallout 3 or whatever, I think it's Fallout 3. You come across a place called Little Lamplight, which is basically a cave full of children. And here's the deal in Little Lamplight. What happened is during the nuclear war that, you get to witness at the beginning of Fallout 4, like the start of it. During the nuclear war, there was a grade school field trip to an abandoned mine. And so there were a whole bunch of little kids plus their adult minders, their teachers and their chauffeur, their people who look after them, whatever. And then the bombs... Thank you, chaperones. And then the bombs fell. And of course, they were in the mine, so they were protected from the blast wave. But it was clear that something terrible had happened above ground. And any adult they sent up to scout out what went down did not come back. And so eventually it was just the kids down there. And the kids kind of managed to survive from what they could scrape together that was left behind in the mines. And they called the mines Little Lamplight. And even though, those original kids are long fucking gone because it's been hundreds of years since the bomb fell in Fallout 3, They have maintained the tradition of if there is a kid that needs help out in the wasteland and they stumble across Little Lamplight, they're taken in, no questions asked. But when you turn 18, you have to leave. Little Lamplight is for kids only. And the guy who kind of runs Little Lamplight is a little boy named Mayor McCready. And he's kind of a little shit. And you're just kind of, you've kind of like had it with him the minute you talk to him, because he shows up looking, he just has resting bitch face, and he's really rude to you because you're an adult. And they don't trust adults. That's like just the culture down there. And if you play Fallout 3, you remember him. And then if you play Fallout 4, not only do you run into him again, you can fuck him. Mayor McCready grows up to be Robert McCready, and after he turns 18 and he's thrown out of Little Lamplight, he makes his way to, the Boston area, and he becomes a romanceable character. And I just think that's really cool. Like, because the thing is, even if you don't remember him, if you talk to him about his life, he'll tell you where he grew up and what it was like. And you can like sort of piece it together and be like, holy shit, I think this is that little asshole from Little Lamplight. And I think that's neat.
We love continuity.
The guy killed him.
Yeah, I did what I always do. I broke his heart and then I discarded him.
No, I said H Bomber guy killed him.
Why did H Bomber guy kill Mayor McCready?
There's a joke in his Fallout New Vegas video. He goes, except for children, you can't kill children for some reason. He goes, oh, I'm coming for you, McCready. I'll be back in Fallout 4 when you're old enough to die.
That doesn't feel right. I mean, he's just a little shit, but he's just a kid. A lone kid.
Those are the only people you can't kill in Fallout New Vegas is children.
Oh, yeah. That's a thing that's kind of held true in a lot of Bethesda games. They kind of only let you kill adults. Like, kids just get, knocked over, and then they get up and run away. Although
I'm imagining it like, listen, when you turn 18, you're gonna be able to die, so you have to be really careful.
They get the talk. In video games, the talk when you're 18 is just, hey, just so you know, you're killable now.
Mom, what about sex? What about it?
No, this is
Didn't
way
you
more
hear
important.
me? You could die now.
Yeah, it's more important you know about this. Like, if you see someone who is bunny hopping across the wastes and is carrying 8 different guns, do not approach them. They're a player character. They'll kill you.
I watched that movie that stars Ryan Reynolds where he's an NPC in a video game.
I heard about that. I don't recall the name of it.
Not the Fall Guy. That's the
Free
other
Guy.
one.
Free Guy.
Mm-hmm.
They call the player characters sunglasses.
Okay.
Because almost all the player characters are wearing sunglasses because it's people designing their characters to look rad as fuck.
Yeah, I never watched that one.
Oh, Badger's saying he was an extra in Free Guy.
Hey.
That movie was fun. I don't know if I'd go so far to call it good, but it was fun.
So is it just someone realizing they're an NPC?
He accidentally puts on the sunglasses of a player character and then suddenly has the powers of a player character.
Okay.
So it's like when he puts on the sunglasses, he can see the like power up here, restore your health, like all the UI.
So they live, but it's good news.
Yeah. And so he then tries to get the villain is it's like an MMO. So the conflict is actually the game is about to get shut down so they can launch the sequel. So that's why they gotta save the game somehow.
And if you die in the game...
like they know that like NPCs come back to life because it's a video game. But like if the game gets turned off...
No coming back, yeah.
yeah, so it was fun.
Sounds
And
interesting.
yeah. And so it's like once he puts the glasses on, he's allowed to break his like predetermined path for the day.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So it sounds a little like. Does anyone here remember Reboot?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So it's not just. It sounds a
Oh,
little like
yeah.
Reboot's great.
Reboot. Oh god, for
Um,
people who aren't fucking wizened crones, Reboot was this cartoon that took place in a computer, and the little people who lived in the computer, sometimes a giant cube would descend. And the cube was when the person who owned the computer was playing a video game, and if the cube landed on wherever you were in Computer Town, that part of Computer Town became the game, and you had to survive the game, because if you died in the game, you died for real. And that was Reboot.
it was so good.
It was. It was good shit.
Another prepubescent confusing crush I had was on Mouse from Reboot, who was like the cool hacker chick who had static for hair.
That is confusing.
I love that all their names are computer things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It was an interesting show. It was kind of like ahead of its time. It's extremely hideous. It's extremely hideous, but
Well, yeah, the animation is something else, but it funnily enough has a bunch of like really silly like tech slang that they kind of invent in it, and now we've kind of got like enough time has passed that it's like really funny. Like I was rewatching a couple episodes and they're always like, "Oh, glitch this," or like whatever. I'm a real sucker for like in universe like
Slang.
cussing and vocab and stuff, so it's kind of charming.
So, do you know what I mean when I say Noiji Tat and Chungalungo?
No.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh, it is I who have been made a fool of. Oh god!
I know
Okay.
what Chungalungo is.
Yeah, there was a cartoon a while ago. I don't know why they canceled it. Probably because they fucking hate things that are good. But there was a cartoon called The Pirates of Darkwater, and it was a fantasy adventure cartoon. Actually, you might want to like find it. I'm sure you could, acquire it on the right websites.
Here's a fun thing. Pirates of the Dark Water was canceled before its time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Titan AE is the same plot that what they would have done for the ending, but in space.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And when someone pointed that out to me, I immediately connected all the characters on like, this is the Titan AE character, this is the Pirates of the Dark Water character. Like the prologue to Titan AE is a summary of Pirates of the Dark Water,
Really?
but in space instead of fantasy world.
Yeah, basically in Pirates of Darkwater, there is a young prince, because it's always a prince, named Ren, and Ren has been sent out on this adventure to stop the Darkwater, which is, imagine a big black amoeba oil slick that's just sort of slowly but inexorably devouring the entire world. And Ren has to save his world from the Darkwater. And he is constantly pursued by, and here's where the other movie being a sequel might be familiar. He's constantly pursued by a pirate king and the pirate king's crew, who want to find the talismans Ren is searching for. Because with the talismans, Ren can banish the Darkwater forever, but if the pirate king gets the talismans, he can control the Darkwater and like basically roll up on every port town in the world and be all like, "Hey, give me all your shit, or I'll make the Darkwater eat your entire city." So that's the main plot of Pirates of Darkwater, and it's actually really fucking good. And the nonsense curse words are Noiji Tat and Chungo Lungo. And it's fucking good as shit, and I'm upset that it never got the ending it deserved. I think most people who enjoyed it are, though. It was just a real weird one.
Just watched Titan AE.
Yeah, it was honestly, it's kind of one of those cartoons or shows, really. I'm sure you could probably think of a few where you're kind of amazed it ever got made at all. Like, who greenlit this? Because this is not the usual kind of shit. And it was really good, and then it just kind of, without ceremony, just...
Thing that made the impression on my tiny child brain was gargoyles.
Yeah.
Gargoyles all the way. That shit slapped. It still slaps.
Yeah, I don't think I ever got into gargoyles, unfortunately, but like I love the art. Like now that I'm aware of it, I love the art style. I've just never like caught up on it.
I think it's very funny that the entire cast of like the Next Generation Star Trek is in gargoyles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the villain Xanatos is the guy who played Riker.
Oh.
And they really just drew Riker with a ponytail for the villain. Like,
I
and then
did not know
Demona, the evil gargoyle lady, is Deanna Troi. Data's character is a spoiler, so if you ever intend to watch it, I will not tell you who Data's character is. And then there's like, I think the only one who's not in it is Patrick Stewart.
See, I remember what I remember most clearly about about gargoyles is the gargoyles. Okay, so yeah, like they are gargoyles. They are things that sit on buildings, and then nighttime comes and they can fly around and move and shit. But there was a thing that, you know, once you notice it, you're all like, oh, that's really clever. So they got wings, and the wings sometimes, you know, you just don't want to draw that shit. Sometimes it just gets in the way. So they can do this thing where basically after they're done flying, their wings can just turn into capes. And so you don't have...
Not that they turn into capes, it's they like hook them around their shoulders.
They can form them into a cape-like shape. And, you know, that's not a thing that should work. but it does, because, you know, it's a cartoon.
What's interesting is they don't fly, they glide.
Oh, they glide. Okay, pardon me.
So, well, no, and this is why it's a neat detail, is because
they're too fucking big.
That comes up, like they can't go up when flying. They can only go down because they're gliding. So they use their claw things to like climb up rock walls.
Cool.
And so like it does come up over and over again that they can only fly downward because they don't have like muscles in their wings. They just have...
Right. And stone is very heavy, presumably.
They are flying rocks.
Yes.
I love when that's another world building thing I love, when there's like a thing that could maybe be a plot hole and they're just like, hey, guess what? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the in-universe explanation and you're gonna have to buy it.
Yeah, honestly, we had this whole big fucking thing about this last week where I talked about how I think it really fucking sucks when, like, okay, I'm not here to tell people how to enjoy shit, but I think it just kind of fucking sucks when a fandom enters a phase where it becomes really, really preoccupied with things like physics and continuity and biology and like the little things that kind of, why are you thinking about that? I'm trying to tell you a story.
I don't mind if they're hung up on continuity, because
depends on the property.
It depends on it. That's like an internal consistency thing.
Yeah. To me, it depends on how successfully I don't notice continuity errors. Like, if I'm noticing them, then something is not engaging me enough that I care about it.
So this is a thing that, like, to bring it back to gargoyles, the thing that Gargoyle does really well is there are hints of things that come up later. And sometimes they don't pay off for like multiple seasons. So it's very clear that they were paying attention to like tiny details like that, and keeping that continuity. Because like, so gargoyles, the reason why they're still alive is they got turned to stone for over like 100 or several hundred years. But gargoyles aren't immortal, they do age. So they were basically like in stasis.
And they were stolen by an asshole and brought to New York.
Yes, they were stolen by an asshole. But so when they get woken up, the main gargoyle Goliath is surprised that his lover, the evil lady gargoyle, is still alive because she wasn't put in stasis. So she should be dead of old age by now.
Why is she alive?
She
Spoilers.
claims she had the wizard cast the stasis spell a second time, which is a lie.
Okay.
And
I'm always claiming a wizard cast a different spell on me.
well, so then you find out that she made like a bargain that ties her life to a different character, and the only way for either of them to die is if they kill each other.
Oh.
Love that. Love star-crossed lovers.
Well,
Especially if
thing
they have to
is-
kill
is-
each other.
Well, no, it's a different character. It's not a character she likes.
Oh.
So this is an enemy that if she can only die if she kills him, and they'll die at the same time. The problem is also they feel each other's pain when they're close to each other. So it's
Some
like
soul
every
bonding
time
shit.
these two fight each other, it's like she punches him and then like reacts like she got punched. Like, so it's very fun. Her life is horrible. But yeah, so it's stuff like you would think that was like a plot hole, and then when you find out more details later, like, because the guy that she's connected to, the first time he attacks the main gargoyles, he thinks it's because they work for her, because those are the only gargoyles he's ever encountered. And they're like, wait, how do you know this person? And also, we don't work for her. And he's like, well, if you don't work for her, then I'm gonna leave. And but does not answer how he knows her. Like, he just fucks off and goes to do something else.
Abby Lark is saying, hate it when they're all fighting about who would win in a fight. Like, damn, who cares if Superman could beat Goku? It's one of those things where part of me is all like, let people enjoy things, but also part of me is like, shut up, nerd. It's like those two things. And I try to keep my opinions, like, no one fucking asked me what I think of Goku versus Superman, so I'm not going to offer an opinion. But at the same time, it's just like, wow, I couldn't think of something I'm least interested in.
Yeah, I understand, like, the desire to, like I like a little bit of, like, oh man, like, if so-and-so used, what do you think? But none of it is real.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that kind of argument is or not argument, but that kind of conversation is employed a lot by people who are using that opener as, like, an excuse to prove something or to debate people.
Yeah.
Like, to just argue with them for the sake of arguing.
Yeah. And I remember for a while there, before they fully gave up, like, channels like Discovery Channel were doing shit like, a bear versus a shark. And it's just, like, it had that same vibe where it's like, remember when you were about the truth? Discovery Channel? Remember when you were about learning and not, like, drunken frat conversations? A bear versus a shark? What if a T-Rex did a fight with another T-Rex, except they were both on a volcano? Are you for real right now? Is this like the educational channel?
I also, I like world building details. When I was talking to someone recently about, I hate vampire stories that are about vampire politics.
Oh, so you don't like Vampire the Gathering, huh?
I do not.
Ooh, boy.
I think that as soon as you introduce vampire politics, it slows the plot down with a bunch of nonsense that doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I was thinking about, I do like shows like Game of Thrones, which is all fantasy made up politics.
Yeah.
And I realized the reason why I like the made up politics in something like Game of Thrones, but not in like Vampire the Masquerade, is because the politics in Game of Thrones affect the rest of the world. Whereas Vampire Masquerade, like, if the Malkavians are in charge instead of whatever other vampire clan, New York is still the same. Like, there's no effect on the human world or what's going on in the human world. Whereas,
which makes it very funny to imagine, like, and I feel like they did this in, like, the Blade movies too, where it was just like a bunch of really stuffy weirdos just like arguing with each other in like a chamber.
And then
like,
nothing gets like nothing changes like beyond that room. Like
yeah, I get that. I've never really kind of felt anything for Vampire the Masquerade, apart from the fact, and this is all word of mouth and me watching Let's Plays. I don't have personal experience with it, but there's apparently a really banging Vampire the Masquerade video game that's like 10, 15 years old, something like that, where you fight the werewolves. And
I hate vampires versus werewolves.
Yeah, I think it's really boring too. But one of my favorite aspects about it, and this is like bringing it back around to our game design discussions, is in Vampire the Masquerade, there are different vampire clans that have different features. And there is one vampire clan where simply one of the features is you're just insane. You're just insane. And if you play a vampire from that clan, the game is very different. For example, you think the people on TV are talking to you. So you'll turn on the TV and, if you're playing any other character, the news anchor will be like, there was a murder downtown last night. Police are investigating. But if you are part of this insane vampire clan, you turn on the TV, the news anchor will be like, there was a murder downtown and police are investigating. But you know who did it, don't you? You know. We all know that you know. Just like stuff like that. And that's...
Ryan Estrada is like, what about in What We Do in Shadows politics, for half the council meeting is Swinton unsuccessfully teaching Wesley Snipes on Zoom. That is great.
That would be great.
That sounds fantastic.
That's the best use of vampire politics. Spike, I assume you haven't watched What We Do in the Shadows.
I have not. People keep recommending it to me.
Where they go to see the Vampire Council, and the Vampire Council is made up of actors who have played vampires in other movies, playing themselves as a vampire. So, what's his name who played Pee Wee Herman? Is playing
Paul Rubin,
a vampire that he played in the original Buffy movie. Tilda Swinton is playing the herself as the vampire in the movie she was in with Tom Hiddleston.
Only Lovers Left Alive.
They get into an argument on whether or not Wesley Snipes' vote only counts as half a vote because Blade is
he's half a vampire because he's Blade.
It's great. Like, one of the True Blood actors is in there. One of the Dusk Before Dawn. It's great.
That does sound really cute.
What We Do in Shadows are the only good vampire politics because it's like
making fun of it.
It's
making fun of it, and it's also like I think they make a pride parade at one point. And they're getting in arguments over who's running a club. Like, so because they're just really petty. Whereas if there's going to be politics in a fantasy world, I want something like Game of Thrones, where because the Lannisters declared war on the Tyrells and the Tyrells grow all the food for Westeros, now the Lannisters have to deal with a famine because whoops, declaring war on the people who give you all your food is a bad idea.
The problem with drawing
is saying I would follow the politics of competing vampire plumber companies.
The problem with drawing rocks is that you have to kind of figure out where to fucking just decide you're done. I'm just like, I think I'm gonna call it here, and then I'm gonna call it here, and then I'm gonna add the gray, and then and chances are possible that, I might fucking hate it, and I might go back and redo it all, which I get to do, because I am not on any kind of timeline, because an important part of the creative process is accepting your weaknesses and shortcomings, and my biggest weakness is I'm fucking slow. And that's
anyway, Kendra, I like that the church doesn't like Eugene for obvious reasons in Red Ocean. He has devil horns, so clearly he's evil.
Yes. Well, it's funny because you don't really learn anything about Eugene's lineage in the first book.
Nope.
Like, it's just a mystery, and it's just never addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Which was a big swing for me to make when I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make another book.
Yeah.
But yeah, in case you have not read it, there is your general widespread church worships the sun goddess type thing, the primary religion of the continent, whatever. And they were not stoked when the heir apparent was born with enormous like gazelle horns and purple skin and gold eyes. So they perhaps reasonably assume that Eugene is bad news, but can't do anything for fear of getting
murdered by his mom,
imprisoned or killed by the lovely supportive queen.
We love a supportive mom.
She's an ally.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, like
listen, I support gay rights, but I also support gay wrongs.
Exactly. But yeah, it's to those who have watched, who are familiar with like Dimension 20, there's something that Brennan, who's one of the main DMs over there, says that the capitalism is always the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the capitalism, but also the church is always the enemy for me. But it's like I just really I think the not the politic, but like the moral quandaries surrounding organized religion is very interesting to me.
Oh yeah.
Love to explore that.
Yeah, I could say a lot of problematique with the TIQUE here. But I think let me see if I can't navigate this. I think religion offers a lot of comfort, community, and direction to a lot of people. Okay? And I think that is good. However, I also believe religion, by its definition and by its nature, is especially vulnerable to the kind of misuse that can literally destroy lives and empires and civilizations. I think that religion makes the adherents to that religion uniquely vulnerable, in that religion can convince otherwise very decent people to do truly incomprehensibly awful things. And there are very few things in the world other than religion that can do that. And I wish we could all, as a species, have adult conversations about this aspect of religion, and how if it is left off the leash, it could potentially kill us all. And I'm not even talking about in terms of crusades and shit like that. I am talking about in terms of like Ronald Reagan in the White House saying shit like, why have an EPA? Because Jesus will be back in 10 years. That's what I mean. And I which is a thing he really said, by the way. He didn't see the point of protecting the environment because Jesus was going to be back in 10 years anyway. And that has stuck with me my entire fucking life.
So,
and these are the people running the country! So, yeah.
Side thing on, like I said, I like it. I don't like it when the fantasy politics don't affect anything.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up werewolves versus vampires. The reason why I hate that is because it treats both vampires and werewolves as a monolith. Whereas, because both of those are creatures where humans are turned into them, they cannot possibly be monolith. Like, there's like no possible way that someone who is turned into a vampire now is going to have the same opinion on things as a vampire turned 100 years ago.
Right.
There's also, why would they care about one another? Like, they have very different issues and problems that would arise from
Right.
being what they are, and how they interact with humanity.
Yeah.
So I think Werewolves vs. Vampires is stupid and comes from, could Goku beat Superman in a fight?
Yeah. I agree with you on pretty much all points there.
Yeah, I think it's a false dichotomy that is more interesting. It's more interesting to me to do the What We Do in the Shadows thing, where they're like minorly rivals because they like live in the same town, but they don't really like do anything about it.
They just like give each other dirty looks over the Slurpee
like
machine.
Two opposing bike gangs, you know, like they're it's not a centuries long war, you know.
Because like, what would even be the point of that?
I liked in What We Do in Shadows that apparently the reason why they don't like werewolves is they think the werewolves smell bad.
Fair enough.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, look at them.
They were like, the werewolves came in and it was fine after we opened the windows.
Yeah. Bye, Amanda. Well, Amanda's probably already left, but bye, Amanda. But yeah.
But yeah. Obviously, I got my werewolf vampire feelings.
Fair, and you are entitled to them. You're entitled to your vampire werewolf feelings. I don't really have strong feelings about either.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's where I live. That's
yeah.
Where
Sure. Yeah. I'm mostly obsessed with garbage men and their failures. That's my one preoccupation in fiction. Garbage men and their failures. Not in a way, not in like this sort of like Woody Allen boo-hoo, I'm 45 but want to fuck a 16-year-old kind of thing, but like just losers. I love losers.
There should be more loser protagonists in general.
Also, there should be more failure in fiction, in my opinion. I think and maybe this is me just fucking, making up a guy to get mad at or whatever, but I think that a lot of fiction kind of doesn't want to talk about how not everybody's dreams get to come true. And that's okay. That's like a thing that a lot of people are left on their own to kind of grapple with and come to terms with. And the world is full of people who are clearly no fucking good at accepting they're not gonna be a Olympic gold medalist or, president of their fan club, or, that they're not going to be a Formula One driver or something like that. There's just a lot of ambition in the world that never comes to fruition, and people are kind of left to contend with that. And a lot of people kind of work through that in a super not healthy way. And that's where we get a lot of, I guess the kids would call it fucking black-pilled. A lot of sort of people who have decided to universalize their kind of disappointments in life and decide that since what they were promised by the fiction, they were basically drip-fed their entire childhood. There's fucking shonen anime try really hard. We live in a meritocracy, so if you really want it, you'll get it. That shit doesn't come to pass. They just kind of are in shock. And they don't understand what went wrong. Like, the world isn't following the script. They really, 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 really wanted to get into Carnegie Mellon, and they didn't. They really, 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 really wanted to win this art contest, and they didn't. They really, really, yeah. And I think that kind of fucks some people up. Not everybody. I think the vast majority of people figure this shit out. But I think the ones that don't are really obvious, and they really need help. And I think that fiction should tackle that shit more often.
So my internet died.
Oh.
And now I'm back.
Welcome.
Spike,
yes.
I have a musical for you to watch.
Yeah.
Called Assassins.
Oh, right, this again.
It's my favorite musical.
Yes,
It's
I
about
know.
everyone who's tried to kill the president.
And there are people who have failed, yes.
Well, the whole reason, like, the thesis statement is that the American dream is a lie, and not everyone gets their dreams.
Yeah, not everyone gets their dreams. That's a simple fact.
Kendra, are there any fantasy tropes or writing tropes in general that drive you crazy?
You know, one I was thinking of recently, which like I'm not like universally opposed to, but and I know why they do it, but a lot of especially like children's media do that thing where it's like we went on this long like this boy and this girl went on this long adventure together and they get married later.
Yeah.
Like the easy and like I don't want to I'm not going to get into the weeds with this one, but like the Katara Aang thing where it's like I mean, yeah, they could love each other. And like I guess we don't know what happens in between them being 12 and them being like adults with children.
I mean, we do in the comics. It does not get better.
It's like and that's cool, but like I don't know, it that kind of setup always was really boring to me because it's like what if when you turn 16 you want to like do other stuff? Like I don't know, like I don't like the idea that like the first person you fall in love with as a preteen is like predestined to be your spouse.
I think it's also especially frustrating in like Avatar because the characters are so well written otherwise. Like I know there ship wars happened with Avatar and are maybe still going on
to this very day.
Yeah, to this
They're
very
still
day.
arguing about it.
But my stance on it has always been they never develop Katara's interest in either character enough for me to buy it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that like she's meant to, and like this isn't like for a problematic thing, but she's meant to be older than Aang, and man, every single teenage girl I have ever known has looked at a boy younger than her with utter disdain. You know, like it's very difficult for me to imagine like a very cool together girl like Katara would. I mean, and yes, he saved the world and he's the Avatar, we know, but like I don't know, Katara can do better is what I'm saying.
So that's a good argument against Aang, but I also feel like they never really got any interest in Zuko going on either. Like,
well, and Zuko, I was a fan of Katara and Zuko just because I love a hate mance like more than again see Eugene and Ani. I love a like really contentious like situationship where the two people like maybe actually hate each other. I just like I love that kind of banter and I love that kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's the kind of thing where I'm like they could have just done none of it. They could have just like or had a bunch of flirting and a bunch of misunderstandings, which does happen with young hormonal teenagers. And then just not have it end with like a big smooch. You know,
I buy Sokka's romances in the show much better because it feels like Sokka's just
he does some
horny.
growing.
He's also like
he
has multiple. It seems like every village they stop in, he tries to get a different girlfriend. So like I feel like that's more shipping him with anyone is more believable to me than Katara with anyone.
Yeah.
And I do understand Toph's crush on Sokka.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just Katara's interest one way or the other about anyone. Like I feel like they don't really sell it.
She's got her own shit going on, and they should just let her have her own shit going on.
I do not know enough about this series to opine.
Oh, just
you should watch
children's cartoons that were on on TV like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I have this feeling so often. I just like I have no Pokemon opinions. I have no Avatar the Last Airbender opinions. I
mean, Avatar's good stuff.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Everybody seems to love it except for that Avatar, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I am too busy watching garbage. It's important to note that when I'm working, I don't want to watch anything I have to pay attention to. I want trash. And the trash I watch is like something I don't have to be looking at the screen the whole time, you know? So. Mm-hmm. And that means if I really want to sit down and watch something, I have to like set aside time in my day. And most days that time doesn't exist.
Spike, you need to reshare my screen.
Oh, shit. Oops. What happened?
Because I told you my internet crapped out.
Gracious. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's see if this will work. Everybody, let me know if you see Kel's screen. This looks like it's just still loading for me, which is weird. Let's see if OBS needs help. No, OBS thinks it's there. Uh-oh.
It's just a delay, so if we give it a minute. I very much
Bird Wizard.
Like Eugene.
Oh, yeah.
Eugene and Andy are great.
Bird
love
Wizard.
Their horrible dynamic.
I absolutely get what you mean. When I think there's this like period, maybe not so much now, but for people who are my age, like Gen Zers, where anime was kind of like this cool secret still, you eventually come to realize, oh wait, anime isn't this like incredible bastion of originality. It's just got a completely different set of bullshit tropes that I am unfamiliar with. So it only feels fresh and original. It's not actually fresh and original. It's just as cliche as American shit. It's just I don't recognize the cliches. Now let's see.
I'm trying to think of other like, oh, these children must get together.
The other really egregious one in my book is old Joan Rowling herself with that fucking epilogue.
Oh yeah, she, like, babies ever after.
Maybe it's just that one put a very strong, like a bad taste in my mouth, but it definitely, it was the whole thing was it's like, oh, she wrote it like before the rest of the series was finished and she kept it the same the whole time, and I'm like, yeah, you can tell. It's a really bad scene. You know, it's just like, it's so corny to like have a little parade of all of these like children from these characters, and it's just like, wow, goodbye little Johnny Snape Voldemort or whatever the
Johnny, that's what I'm naming my kids. Johnny Snape Voldemort. Send him to school to get his ass kicked every day.
And then everyone's like, proof that Spike is a turf.
Johnny Snape Voldemort, my firstborn, my precious baby boy. But yeah, that did. Also, it's like, okay, admittedly, it's been a long ass time since I even looked at anything Harry Potter. But that whole Harry Potter marrying that one girl kind of came out of nowhere. Did that feel that way for anyone else? Just like, what?
She was his best friend's younger sister who played like wizard rugby. Like, that girl was a lesbian. Like, let's be serious.
And it's like, when did I miss a chapter? Was there a chapter where he started feeling like the inklings of attraction or something?
No, Spike, because no one has any feelings in Harry Potter.
Like, there was no sort of, like, because here's, okay, I'm gonna fucking go off again. There's a thing I really, really, really dislike. Don't send me this shit. I own a fucking publishing company. Don't send me this shit unless you want to make sure I never publish you. And that shit is, forgive me for fans of it, I hate love at first sight. Because that's not love. You're just horny. Love at first sight is not a thing I believe in. I think it's a super fucking lazy writing trope where you don't have to explain. You get to duck out of explaining why a person is lovable. Like, a person falling in love with another person, they usually have pretty good reasons. Even if those reasons only exist in their own head. Like, if they've just made up this idea of the other person that they've decided is perfect for them, that's still a reason. It's a creepy bad reason, but it's still a reason, and if you illustrate it in a story, it would make me believe, yes, I think this person thinks they're in love with this person. But like, I want to see people actually sort of develop feelings for one another and be like, oh shit, that person is really cool actually. Yeah, we hung out at the party and we talked for like 3 hours and it felt like 15 minutes. They seem really rad. I like them. Oh shit, they dropped by the coffee shop where I work. Oh, why am I so sweaty and nervous? Like, I don't even know them. This is so weird. Ha ha. Like, show me that! That's what I want. I don't want, oh, I looked across the classroom and I saw them and now I'm in love. Why? I just looked across the classroom and I'm in love now. It's no, you lazy asshole. Put in the work. Explain why.
In Twilight, where the reason is she smells really crazy.
She does that good stank.
See, that's something.
That's love at first smell.
Love at first sniff. First whiff.
Love at first pheromone.
Yeah, but I fucking hate that shit. I hate that shit. Like, they're in love. Why? They're in love. Why? Why? I asked you a question.
All the werewolves end up with people because of Mormon prophecy.
Yeah, I'm just really annoyed by that. I'm really annoyed at love at first sight. It's lazy. It's bullshit. Don't do it.
I'm so bad at / so disinterested in people getting together that all my characters that are in a couple or have a significant other, they're already married. I don't want to write the part where they fall in love.
Oh, I love that shit. I love unhealthy love.
It's like
I love unhealthy love. Oh, I love it.
Oh no, they can be unhealthy. It's just more them falling for each other. They already need to be in the thick of it.
But I love that love where you're just like, you're reading it and you can see it happening and it's like watching a car crash at half speed and you're just like, no, no, this is bad. What are you doing? No. I love that shit. That's good.
I have a future City Between story coming up where someone asked Connor about his love life and he's like, I've been married for 25 years. My love life is boring and I like it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I have been married for 20 years. My life has a routine and it is very peaceful and it is full of love. And it's like, I think that is probably the hardest shit to tell stories about. That kind of like love is hard to tell stories about. The kind of marriage that is sort of a successful and happy marriage is like the first 10 minutes of Poltergeist. It's the setting the scene before something terrible happens. No one writes stories about the kind of love I'm in because there's nothing to do.
No, because, see, okay, I'm going to disagree with you, Spike, because part of why I realize that I like couples that are already together is I like couples that work together to solve a problem. Like their relationship is not the problem. It is they are working together to solve a different problem.
Like Team Rocket.
And yes, except they're platonic queer best friends. They're not in.
Yeah, they're platonic life partners.
You cannot convince me otherwise that both of them are not gay.
I don't think they are dating at all. So.
Yeah, so like, as someone who grew up being a big fan of Buffy, Joss Whedon has a famous quote that happy couples make for boring television.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more I'm like, that's bullshit. That's just because you don't know how to write a happy couple.
Skill issue.
Yeah, skill issue. There, I said it.
Get ready to get into fights on the podcast.
Also, maybe he doesn't know how to write an interesting happy marriage because he hasn't had one.
True. I saw that one coming and I still let it happen.
I mean...
Yeah. I mean, if it's true, it's true.
Yeah.
It makes me think of Steve Harvey, the guy who wants to fucking give me marriage advice, and he's been through how many wives? It's like, why would I ever take marriage advice from someone who can't fucking stay married?
He can give you a lot of great advice on how to get married.
I know,
Because
right?
he's done it many times.
But yeah, I really do feel like that's like the perfect description for my marriage, though. We are like the first 10 minutes of Poltergeist. And if you've seen Poltergeist, you'll know what I mean. It's just like a happy couple. They're just like a happy fucking couple living their happy little bullshit lives, and then like a tree tries to eat their child.
Bunch of really goopy stuff happens.
Goopy. Oh, it's so good. Have you seen Poltergeist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love that era of horror movie, like practical effects in horror movies.
Oh yeah. We didn't know how good we had it.
So great.
Yeah.
There isn't enough slime in most movies nowadays.
For folks who haven't seen Poltergeist, I definitely recommend watching the original movie. You can skip the sequels. It's okay. You don't have to do that. But the original Poltergeist is really interesting in a lot of ways, and I'm trying to figure out what I can talk about without destroying it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But it's just it's good. It's good. Just you'll have to trust me on that. It's good. The reason it kind of maintains this presence in pop culture is it was very good. Very 80s, very good.
I think I also don't like the compulsive heterosexual.
I think Kel fell off again. Oh, I think.
Are you with us?
They have been having the shittiest connection issues.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, it is just about 8 o'clock, so it is kind of good timing.
Oh, it is, yeah. Let's wait for them to come back and then we can do our outros.
Hell yeah.
Okay, cool. Look at this, everyone. I've actually moved on to shading it. Hooray. This page may be done sometime this year. I'm so excited.
Hello.
Hey,
right.
welcome. Hello. You live. They live.
Yeah.
Okay, Kel, it is 5:10, so we are going to do our outros. You cool?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to just say that I also hate the compulsive heterosexuality of not just when it's kids, but like even in adult movies. It's like there's a man and there's a woman, and because they were in close proximity to one another through this whole story, they must end up together.
They're in love.
They have
formed an unbreakable bond,
and now it's happening.
Yeah,
agreed.
Fair enough.
All right.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for.
Let's let Kendra go first because Kendra is the guest. Kendra, where can people find you?
I am at Kendra W. Candra on all of the dying social media sites, and also kendrawcandra.com. I actually have a book coming out next week, which is very exciting.
Woo!
I wrote a graphic novel for Critical Role about the backstory of Caduceus Clay, and it turned out pretty freaking cool, if I do say so myself. Also, please, if you haven't already, pick up Real Hero Shit from Iron Circus Comics. It is the first book of, several, hopefully. And it is a really, really fun project, and I love it very much. And it's very gay and very horny and very weird. And it was only going to get gayer and hornier and weirder. And
there's fun word building going on.
Yeah,
just wanted to say that real quick.
You should also, I'll back Kendra's Patreon because there's some great...
Oh, yes.
Bloody Chilchuck Senshi /
I am in my copious spare time doing a Chilchuck X Senshi Old Man Yaoi doujinshi on my $10 and up Patreon tier, which is patreon.com/KendraWCandra, of course. And I actually just did a big blog update for all patrons today, which is a rare occurrence. So if you want to catch up what I'm working on and where I'll be, you can check there.
Cool. Everybody, thank you for coming. I'm Spike. I run Iron Circus Comics and Iron Circus Animation. Please watch Lackadaisy on YouTube. It's our first animation project based on the Eisner-nominated webcomic by cartoonist Tracy Butler. It's about cats during the time of Prohibition shooting each other. It's really fun, and we are working on the first season right now. Please watch it and recommend it to your friends if you think they would be into such a thing. As for me, you have been watching me draw Blickata. The name means nothing. The comic is about Fievel Mouskowitz and some Keebler elves robbing caravans and getting into trouble and becoming mistakes in multiple ways. There are 55 pages up if you go to blickata.com. Just make sure to go to http:// not https, because it's a forwarding link. It sends you to my pillow fort because I'm too lazy to set up a real website. Other than that, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm Iron Spike, all one word there. You can find me on Kara, but I'm just squatting. Iron Spike, all one word there. You can find me on co-host Kinda Sorta. I guess I should probably update that at some point. I'm Iron Spike, all one word there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Please, please, please go to BackerKit and follow the page, the preview page for Iron Circus X Indiepocalypse, our game-making collaboration, where we are making fun, little, weird, experimental games where cartoonists team up with programmers. That launches in a little under 2 weeks, and we're super excited. Thank you.
I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics about gay werewolves in the future that you can read at kelmcdonald.com or on my Patreon, patreon.com/kelmcdonald. I hate social media, so while I am on it, it's all linked on my main website, and I'm not going to read it off.
Fair enough.
I do stream during Geek Show on my Twitch at twitch.tv/kelmcdonald. I also do a solo art stream on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights. And on Sunday nights, I have been streaming my Baldur's Gate games. So if you would like to see my Dark Urge character disembowel some more girls, you should join me Sunday nights. And I did a game for that Indiepocalypse thing that is going to be crowdfunding soon from Iron Circus. It is about you're a single parent and you must prep the basement for your werewolf child. It's a little time management puzzle.
Before the full moon. Woo.
Yeah.
So please like and subscribe, everyone, and hit the bell so you get an alert whenever we are getting ready to start one of these live streams. We try to do one every Thursday. Thank you for coming. We think the world of you, and we appreciate your time and attention. Have a great day and a great weekend. And